Any concerns about student performance, enjoyment, or behavior to the chairs in Washington Business Week staff. So attendance for all of our events throughout the week, pretty much every hour the students are at a new activity. And it's mandatory that we take attendance the first 5 minutes of every hour so that we can make sure that students are where they are supposed to be. If we have lost the students, we need to find them right away, so that it helps us by you reporting if your students are in their groups at the correct time. We use WhatsApp for our domestic programs. We use WhatsApp as our form of communication. So usually every hour we get a message if somebody's missing a student, and we actually have to go out on campus and make sure to find them. Sometimes it's mainly a student slept in too late, or they're just coming back late from lunch. But we do ask that you keep on track with those WhatsApp messages and that you're informing us within the first 5 minutes if there's a student missing from your group. Also making sure that that bullying is not acceptable at our programs. Before the students arrive, when they register for the programs, they get the student code of conduct. We also go over this the first day with them, so they are aware of the rules of being at Washington Business Week. But there are always, bullying does happen. Warning signs, a student shying away from their group or being really quiet. A student might fake an illness in order to spend time at the Business Week office. They might skip meals or have trouble sleeping, or they might just avoid social situations altogether. So if you see anything concerning, please right away let Business Week staff know so that we can address it. But also, if you do see bullying happen, address it right away. And also make sure that the person who is being bullied, that you talk to that student and let them know that they are a valued member of their group and that you want them to continue to participate in the program. One thing to note as well, we had a lot of, at our domestic programs, we had a lot of great speakers about mindfulness. And we want you to convey to the students that it's important that they're aware of their surroundings, but also aware of other students. Some students might not be aware of how their experiences or maybe their privilege affect other students. So a great example is we had a student last year who was a Running Start student, very academically inclined, and he didn't see the point of the 2 college credits. He was already going to college. He didn't want to have to sit and listen to the speaker, and he didn't need these 2 college credits. What we sat down and talked to him about is that there were other students in the room that had never, the thought of college was something that they had never been able to think about. That there are other students in the room, 2 college credits makes a big difference to them. And so while he already maybe was going to be able to go to college and he had all these credits already lined up, that there were students in the room who didn't, who maybe this was going to be their first thought of actually going to college. So we want students to be mindful of the others that are in the room, that are in their groups. Also sharing your real world experiences, helping them navigate the program. So students love to hear about what you do on a daily basis. They love to hear about your jobs. One of our favorite things, our students love to hear what your first job was. We had a panel last year with our company advisors where we went around and the students asked them questions. And one of the questions I asked them was, what was your first job? And the students loved to hear it because some of them were like, I worked at McDonald's, or I cut people's lawns. And so students love to hear that because it makes you very relatable. So students love to hear about what you do and why it's important in their lives. So do share your experiences and your work life with them because they'll be interested. So, does anybody have any questions while we're kind of going through this? I know it's a lot of information, but if anybody has any questions, please do let me know. Okay. So, expectations. So, there will be a full day of orientation the day before your program starts. So for our overnight programs, this will be on the Saturday, all our overnight programs. So at Seattle University, and as well as all of our Poland programs in Minsk. So it's the Saturday before the program starts. For our UW-Tacoma and our Renton Technical College programs, that's the Sunday before the program starts. So it's about 8:30 in the morning for our domestic programs that we start. And again, it's a little bit more in-depth orientation because this is more of a general orientation. It's an in-depth orientation specific to your program. We also take a little tour of the campus so you guys are comfortable with where you're going throughout the week. We do sometimes we'll bring in a speaker to talk to you a little bit more about working with diverse populations. That is a mandatory orientation for our CAs because there's a lot of information that we give about that's very important for you to know. So when arriving to that orientation, we'll also have a time in the afternoon where we'll break out into pathways. So like I mentioned, business, healthcare, and technology. And we'll go more in depth to exactly what you'll be doing with the students throughout the week. I will also be sending out to each and every one of you the manuals beforehand. Usually I send it out about 2 weeks before the program. Some people read it all, some people skim it. You don't have to read it. Sometimes some people read it all and get really overwhelmed. So just know that you'll be fine throughout the week and that the chairs are there to help mentor you. It is a lot of information, and we do go over it day by day at the program as well. So usually we'll have a meeting each night for our company advisors and our chairs, and you'll actually go over the next day's agenda and all the things that you'll be doing with the students. So if you're feeling overwhelmed at the beginning of the program, just know that by the end, you'll feel like a pro. Clothing. So clothing is casual, and it does get hot, so we do recommend you wearing like comfortable layers. And the Friday of the program is, like I mentioned before, that's when the students are giving their presentations. So the students get dressed up, business clothes. I mean, there's some gentlemen wear suits and stuff. I think we had one wear a tuxedo last year. And so they get really excited, they get all dressed up and ready for their presentation. So the Friday of the program is also when we ask that you also are wearing clothing that is business professional as well. So because we have a lot of judges come through and everybody gets really dressed up, so they like to see that. Washington Business Week polos. So we do have Washington Business Week polos for you. Unfortunately, they weren't delivered as of 4 o'clock today. So we will be giving those to your chairs. We ask you to wear that the very first day of the program so that the students can easily identify who you are. So they're nice, really nice red polos with the Washington Business Week logo on them. And then also days, like I mentioned, they're really long. So please do make sure that you're conveying to your employer that you won't be able to be available for that week. They're filled with company meetings. So as I mentioned before, we have the students in their groups just making the business decisions. That's their company meetings. We also have workshops and assemblies where we actually have speakers come speak to the students on various topics. We might have individuals speaking about resilience. We have individuals this year speaking of just motivational speakers. We do have speakers that are speaking specifically maybe to the healthcare students about healthcare and technology and how that's intertwining now. So depending on the pathway, we do bring in speakers that are specific, and then we also bring in motivational speakers that all of the students listen to as a group. We also have at our overnight program, so this is specifically for Seattle University, we do a talent show with our students. So if you have any talents, bring them that night, because the students do look to see our mentors and their talents as well. So if there's anything that you feel that you would like to share with the students, definitely go for it. We also do have Business Week Olympics. which is when we group the students in their groups, they actually do team building stations together. So these look like how many ties can your team tie in 5 minutes? Or how many Oreos can your team get from their forehead to their mouth without touching their hands? So the students really love the Business Week Olympics because they're all about team building, and they get kind of the time where it's really competitive nature comes out of all the students. Networking reception is on Friday. So like I mentioned, in the morning we have a trade show, we have the board of directors presentations, and then in the later afternoon we do a networking reception with our students. So that is a time where we are instilling networking skills in our students, and we're actually having them practice. So we do want them to practice with adults, and that could be parents that are invited. It could be you as mentors. At our domestic programs, we are also hoping to have some college admissions individuals be present as well, so they're also learning to network with college admission reps as well. So it's a good time for students to be practicing their networking skills. At our domestic programs, we also turn it into a competition where the students are given a business card if they have done a good job networking with an individual, and then at the end they write their names on them, and we choose a top 3 to be awarded gift cards and things like that. So we want to make sure that our students are using the networking skills that they've learned throughout the week. As I already mentioned, our stockholders and trade show. Next, like I mentioned before, WhatsApp. We do communicate that way, so please make sure that you are checking that, and I will be sending out an invite to you, including everybody in the group, when it gets closer to the program. The domestic programs this summer is something that's new for you individuals who have already been company advisors before. We are actually incorporating in all our domestic programs this summer computers. So students will be actually using computers. Each company group will be assigned a computer that they'll be able to use throughout the week. So that's something new that we've never done in any of our programs before, but students will be assigned in their groups will be assigned a company computer where they can use that throughout the week. Meals throughout the week. So obviously lunch and some of those meals are cafeteria style. Dinners are usually either catered or at a restaurant. Meals for the Friday of the program, Friday night. So the programs usually get done before the dinner time. We have at our networking reception, we have heavy apps for people who are hungry. But the Friday of the program, it's an optional dinner. So we recognize that some of you might have to go home, or some of you are maybe even from out of state, and so that you have to go back home. So it's an optional dinner on Friday night, but I just want to throw it out there that CAs are obviously encouraged to go to dinner. It is on your own dime on Friday night. The other night in which we say it's on your own dime is Wednesday night. So the Wednesday night of the program, CAs usually don't come back afterwards. So usually our dinners throughout the week, the CAs come back and you're working with the students. So we ask that there's no alcohol at those dinners, that you don't drink, because you're going to be coming back with the students. On the Wednesday night of the program, however, you're done for the day. You're done early. So that night, the dinner is, as we say, on your own dime, and you can have alcohol or whatever you'd like. And usually those dinners, the chairs choose a restaurant for the CAs, and usually they're about $20. We try and choose restaurants that are about $20. But we do take care of at the domestic programs. We do a coffee service in the morning. We take care of your lunch, and then your dinner, besides that Wednesday night, is taken care of as well.